Raising concerns over mismanagement of federal COVID-19 funds by two state agencies. The state auditor presented an audit from fiscal year 2023 showing question costs in the state increasing. Joining us now to really explain what this all means is State Auditor Cindy Byrd. Cindy, good morning and thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Happy to have you here and really dive deeper into this audit and really break it down for Oklahomans. I want to start first with, this is an annual audit that your office does, right? So
Correct.
Walk us through what you're looking for every year when you do them.
Okay, so the federal government requires us to conduct this audit each year. And so over the past few years, we've been auditing the pandemic funds, and it's normal to see some question cost each year that may not have aligned with what the grant requires. But each year we've seen these numbers rise because of the pandemic, and now we're at a very alarming number of $93 million of question cost. So what that means is that some of those costs, the federal government can look at and say, hey, we want you to pay this back because you didn't spend it correctly. And we highlighted two specific grants. That was the Emergency Rental Assistance Grant and then the Child Daycare Funds. So what we found there was pretty concerning.
Okay, so when we're talking about question costs, I want to ask you to explain that a little bit more. How do you figure out what is a question cost? Like, how do you determine that that's what it is?
Okay, so the federal grants come with rules, and they're codified in the Federal Code of Regulations, and anyone who receives those grants know they have to follow the rules. So whenever we're looking at the audit, we're looking at the expenditures to determine if they followed the rules and the way they spent them. So when we determine something as a question cost, it can mean they didn't follow the proper procedures. It could mean that it wasn't documented. If there's no documentation to prove what you spent the expenditure or spent the money on, we're going to question it. Or it could appear unreasonable or improper. So those are the things we're looking at, and whenever we question it, that's how we report it to the federal government as this is a question cost you need to look at further.
Okay, and so as we look at those question costs for some of these agencies, how did that impact some of the services that they provide, or does it impact services?
Well, it certainly impacts those services. So remember, the pandemic funds were sent to keep the economy going, to keep things working, and so the emergency rental assistance funds were sent to help people who may have lost time on the job because of the COVID pandemic. And so the emergency rental assistance could be given out for rent and utilities. The daycare funds were sent so that the daycares could stay open so that people could work. So anytime those funds were misspent, you know, it directly affected all Oklahomans and the economy. So what we found was that in the emergency rental assistance, there was a management fee that was taken by a nonprofit. OMES, the agency that was in charge of overseeing this, failed to properly communicate to the nonprofit that that wasn't allowed. So we reported this first back in 2021, and it was $1.6 million. Well, now the federal government has come in and said they want that money back. The problem is we're 3 years down the road, and that number has climbed to $15.5 million. So we're very concerned about how much Oklahoma would have to pay back for that grant.
Yeah, and so what could have led to these numbers increasing so much?
Well, the agency in charge did not properly oversee those funds. There is a new director at OMES, and he has taken steps to make sure that these things are not happening today, but we're still in the period of cleaning up prior mistakes.
So for Oklahomans who are listening to this at home and we're hearing the federal government is asking for this money back, who pays for that? Oklahomans?
Oklahomans. Whenever the federal government asks for the money back, they take it from the state of Oklahoma, and then the state is responsible to see if there's any recourse to get that money back.
So as we look ahead here, what can the state, what can agencies do to help prevent this from happening again, help prevent these numbers from being so high?
We don't leave an agency just questioning what to do to correct the action. We actually write out the recommendation and show them the guidance so that they can get things in the proper manner where we're not going to have these problems going forward. And we always extend an invitation that if they need help, the state auditor's office will come in and help them get it right.
Okay, and I just want to clarify again, when we talk about these question costs, you say it's normal to have a little bit of, question cost, but this is just a really big number that is really concerning to you, correct?
Yes. Before the pandemic, we saw around 5 million question cost a year. This year, we saw 93 million. But the largest part of those was with the daycare funds. And that, in that situation, that may have been the most egregious this year, where those funds were not spent to really expand daycares in Oklahoma, and there were some bad actors who took advantage.
Okay, where can people find some more information and take a look at the audits themselves, or get more familiar with what it is that those audits are looking at and learn more about it?
So on our website, and you'll find that at sai.ok.gov, the state auditor's website. Whenever you go there, you'll see recently released audits, and you'll see a press release that will help explain it, and it will have a link to the over 200-page report if anybody wants to read that. But a lot of good information there for taxpayers to see where their money's going.
Okay, Cindy, thank you so much for coming in and really explaining this to us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.